I mean, it's possible. Right. I mean, if you have 2 good fake alibis.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, as they were talking to him, like, they kind of were like, you seriously have, like, perfect alibis for this? Like, are you kidding me?
Well, right. I was just going to say what are the odds that he wasn't sitting at home? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
How often if someone said, what were you doing this night? You'd be like, yeah, I cannot prove that I was not just sitting at home.
Right.
Or I cannot prove that I didn't do it.
I mean, he had to reference his diary, but yeah, it is. I don't know how busy he was, because I feel like he is pretty involved.
But he couldn't admit if he was doing some other illegal thing.
But I'm also saying he could be at meetings like almost every day. Like, who knows?
Right.
How busy his schedule is. But yeah, I mean, as far as I know, there's not like pictures and stuff of.
And what are the odds that the union guy even remembered if he was there or not on that day that happened a while ago?
Well, I think he's very involved.
Oh.
Like, he's a leader. Because he, like, helps organize protests and stuff. So, like, he's well known.
I guess. I don't know.
But, yeah, I guess if they're, like... Maybe they keep a list.
They probably do have, like, a agenda thing. What is that called?
Right. Agenda. A list of participants or something?
Yeah.
Right.
Time.
But they could also just write it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They couldn't disprove him, though, so I guess they could never say for sure he's the fox-eyed man.
Right. I guess all that matters is that they couldn't pin it on him, but it really seems like he did it.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get to other possible suspects. Okay, so when the police couldn't, like, undo his alibis, they moved on to another suspect who was the ex-head of the Yakuza organization affiliated with the Yamaguchi-gumi, which is the biggest one in the nation. So they just called him B. I could not figure out what his name was. So he's B. This is also why it reminds me of Death Note, because they have, like, letters attached to their... Like, they're just called L.
Yeah, why did they smear the identity of the other guy?
Miyazaki?
Yeah, but no.
They call him M.
Oh.
But because the sketch looks so much like him, everyone who
knew him
sees the sketch and then looks at him thinks it's him.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So they did actually call him, like, Mr. M, because his name's Manabu Miyazaki.
Wow. Okay.
But just because, of the sketch, then they know then everyone assumes it's him. But yeah, this guy B was the ringleader of, they called him incident creators, who were also associated with Miyazaki. So they have the same...
all know each other.
People. Right. So, like, this guy could have acted without Miyazaki. They know the same people.
Right.
So, yeah, anything that was said about Miyazaki could also be applied to this B guy. As, like, because he has similar resources. But he had quit the Yakuza when the Yamaguchi and Ichiwa split, so he went into legitimate business. So they're thinking, well, he's saying, like, he's not part of the Yakuza anymore and he's not involved in this case because of that. Like, that's his saying, I guess. And they don't really have any evidence for him. Right. But just because he knows everyone that Miyazaki also knows, like, he could have done it too. And but also, like, 2 months after the ceasefire declaration letter to Glico, he received 300 million yen in his bank account from one of the newly targeted companies.
They paid him to do it.
Right. Yeah. And then they targeted themselves. I mean, like you kind of said, that could have happened too. Also, I guess some meat producers associated with B had a grudge against Glico.
Oh my god.
So that could have been a motivator. And like the statute of limitations was nearing its end in 1992, so like by then they still don't really have any answers, but they went really hard on investigating B to try and get some answers out of him, and they called it the B campaign. I love their names for stuff. But they grilled him with questions for 2 days, like in a hotel room, but he never relented. And they were asking about like the money that he got from this company. And he said, like, back then I was getting, like, billions of yen all the time back and forth, and I don't remember, like, from this specific company. So, like, he didn't have an answer why this company sent him 300 million yen, like, 2 months after the declaration letter.
He's like, that wasn't even a big deal.
Yeah, because he also said he was still getting money that was owed to him when he was a Yakuza, too. So, like, he was just getting billions of yen, apparently.
To him, this entire thing is like completely irrelevant. He's like, I can't even believe you would ask me about that.
Yeah, and he says he can't remember the specific company, which you'd think you could look at the bank statements,
right?
But whatever. But also interestingly, because I think the police did know what company sent him money, but the company refused to admit making such a payment to him.
Well, of course they did.
So, like, the company's covering it up, too.
Why would they admit to that? But also, is it not on paper that they did it? Like...
I don't know. This is the 80s.
Oh, you said he didn't do it? I guess you must not have done it.
Isn't it just shredding the file and then it's gone?
I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just weird that they don't admit either. But yeah, I guess if they're paying him 300 million, they're not going to say why or that they did.
Right.
Yeah, so they could never get enough answers to make a case against him, like a solid case, so they couldn't arrest him either. And when he was being released from questioning, he told the detectives that they had it all wrong and it had always been going in the wrong direction for suspects. And he also said, "I've had enough. I'm a busy man."
He knows exactly who did it, but he wants them to have to figure it out themselves. Yeah. He's like, you guys are dumb.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's another interesting thing. The police... Well, this is according to the book from Miyazaki, so whatever. But the police said that there was, like, they always suspected a shadowy organization was behind B. So, like, that's another reason it failed, because they think there's some larger organization that they just can never get to. Which would be crazy, but also that the police are saying that they suspect there's, like, some underground...
Of course there is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it makes sense. I'm sure stuff like that exists in the U.S. now, you know? Like,
yeah.
We don't... What do we know? What do the police know?
Right, that's true. Yeah, because this group is said to have been behind various economic crimes of the bubble economy, which was after this case. But also, like, political crimes. Like, 1973, there was an abduction of Kim Dae-jun. I don't know how to say it, but he became the president of South Korea.
Oh.
So they suspect this organization was behind his abduction in 73. And also, like, they think that anyone operating behind the scenes in relation to, like, Japan and Korea is part of this organization. So it could be, like, big with a lot of resources.
Right.
And also the police said... The abduction of the like, who would become the South Korean president was very similar to Izaki's abduction.
And, like, what are the odds? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess how creative can you be with a abduction?
I guess, yeah.
I just...
That's true.
It's a cabal.
Yeah, and they think, like, anyone who's way up in the Yakuza could also be, you know, involved in this.
Right, and I feel like they're pretty good at keeping secrets, because they're not all in jail. Like, they're pretty good at getting away with stuff.
Right, probably money. Yeah, they just think this kind of group is too big to pin down, and the police kind of knew that, so maybe they thought they were never going to catch who did this.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah. But, okay, so another possible suspect is Nishimoto, which was that he was called NS in police reports. I don't know what his last name is, I guess, but he was part of the Public Security Intelligence Agency, so he's kind of like a police officer, but he suddenly quit that in the 1978, and he showed up at Miyazaki's doorstep looking for help.
They're all connected to him.
I know they are. Well, also a lot of this is from the book that he wrote.
Oh, I guess
he would talk about only people he's connected to, I guess. But it is weird that this guy is like connected to him, because I guess this guy's job when he was part of the Public Security Intelligence Agency was to like go to colleges and like investigate the like JCP student movements.
Yeah.
And so that's how he met Miyazaki, was when Miyazaki was in college, like with that stuff, and he was trying to get information from Miyazaki, so he was trying to like befriend him.
Oh, like the CIA did.
Yeah. But, like, Miyazaki said he could tell that this guy was a cop. Of course he says that. But, like, he said he just stayed friends with him to, like, also get information from that side of it. And he also said he would do this a lot to, like, anyone that would come up to him, like, looking for information. Like, he would take them out for a nice time, gambling, give them drugs, and then they would get addicted to that stuff and lose all their money. And then he would use their debts that he owed him to instead of paying for that, give me information.
Wow.
Yeah, so it sounds like he did this regularly.
Not a good person anyway.
No.
And he never went to jail for any crimes, right?
No. Right. So yeah, he took Nishimoto when they first met, like gambling, drinking until he racked up debt, and then like they were friends when he lived in Tokyo, but then he had to go back to Kyoto and they lost touch for a couple years, but then like Nishimoto became addicted to gambling and drinking, and so then he had to quit his job in 78, and he went to Kyoto to Miyazaki for help, and he also had a woman and their child with him, like asking for help.
Oh.
So like he got someone pregnant and they also had a kid. Which one of the things that was going on, like it had a child's voice recording.
Oh.
So it's almost like, is this guy involved and make his child like talk or whatever?
Right.
But again, like just a lot of circumstantial evidence. I mean, he knew a lot of people that Miyazaki also knew. He was living in Kyoto, so he knew the area as well. So like anything that was said about Miyazaki could apply to this guy too.
My thing is, like, none of these other people would have been in place. Like, they're all in it together, clearly. Like, they know exactly who did it. They just can't prove it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I do feel like that's probably true. They just can't get any evidence out of it. But, where was I? But this guy also had contacts from being in the Public Security Intelligence Agency who were, like, left-wing activists. And then those people also were, like, later suspects in this case. So, like, maybe he worked with these people.
What better person to be a suspect than the one who knows everyone who might have done it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he'd be good at doing it.
Right.
He'd be good at doing it because he has all these connections, and whether or not they knew he was a cop.
Right.
But
yeah, and when he quit, like, maybe they'd want to help him. If he's like, hey, I quit being a cop, I want revenge.
Let's do the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like, he has all these connections.
And he has a kid, so he probably cares about the kid's health or whatever.
Yeah.
Candy.
Right. Yeah.
Could it be the Yakuza guy who cut his thing and then whoever got cut opening the thing?
Well, but he blackmailed on his own.
Well, it didn't work, so he got everyone else to do it. What is the deal with blackmail?
I think he did get his money. I don't know.
He got money?
Well, the one where his kid was cut and he blackmailed Glico. This was before the Glico case.